Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name is Mark McNulty, president of Action Coach Bluegrass in Southern Indiana. And today I have Danielle Mann, who is CEO and co-founder of Rivergreen Cocktails, as my guest. And today we're going to be talking about her business, her unique journey to business ownership, and some of the challenges and best practices that she has dealt with and learned along the way, and share a peek into the life of a business owner. If this is your first time listening to us, be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications every time we drop a new conversation like this out there. So, hello, Danielle. Welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so could you give our listeners kind of a brief overview of your background and how you came to be a business owner?
Okay. I am an OB-Gyn physician. I have been in medicine for almost 20 years and really thought that was going to be my only career path. And COVID really gave me an opportunity to have some free time to explore some hobbies and interests. And that was kind of where the whole idea of Rivergreen Cocktails began. During COVID, with all the extra free time, I was making cocktails in my kitchen like a lot of people were, and started, going down the internet tunnel and figuring out that ready to drink cocktails were soaring and that spirit cocktails were starting to take off. And I noticed that gin-based canned cocktails were lacking in the market. So Rivergreen Cocktails is gin-based canned cocktails. We are all gin-based. We have 3 flavors. All of our cocktails are made with real fruit juices and natural sweeteners. And we're a little bit stronger than your average ready-to-drink cocktail. We're at a 12% ABV.
Okay.
And that was on purpose as well. We wanted to do a real cocktail in a can. And I just noticed that that was really lacking from the shelves, like a real quality cocktail, especially one that was made with gin.
So are you still practicing medicine today?
Good question. I am still practicing medicine today. I am not practicing in the same capacity that I was before. So this business got started in the summer of 2020, and I knew that I was going to be getting back to practicing medicine at, basically 5 to 6 days a week. I also should add, I'm a mother of 3 boys. So knowing that I had all this on my plate, but I had this idea, I went out to find somebody else who could create it for me. I'm not in the liquor world. I had no background in it. I didn't understand the 3-tier system, and that I needed to have a distributor in order to get into liquor store shelves or into restaurants or bars. And so I needed to get a distributor. And in order to get a distributor, I needed a prototype. And so I went out searching for someone to make this prototype for me. And I got a lot of pushback. One was because nobody wanted to use the real ingredients. And I was really passionate about using true ingredients like real juices and natural sweeteners. Additionally, for any co-packer or manufacturer, the minimum order quantity, or the MOQ, was so high, I was already going to be out of so much money before I even had the prototype. And I thought, I'm going to get stuck with all these cocktails and I don't even know if a distributor is going to accept me. So that was the first real moment, I guess, when I decided to be an entrepreneur, is that I decided to make them myself. And so I rented a space in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. I got my liquor license. I obtained some equipment on a very small scale, and I made the prototype. And I got picked up immediately by a distributor. And we have been self-manufacturing since then. I just quit my private practice in May, to get back to your question, when I saw that the business was starting to expand. And so I am practicing at a hospital in Lexington, Kentucky, but I only practice about 7 or 8 times a month so that I can commit more time to the business.
Okay. So you're co-founder. Between the two of you, how do you split the roles and responsibilities?
Well, that really happened organically. Chris Witzke, who is my co-founder, his background is in photography. He's done a lot of branding for other brands before. He's owned a bar before. And so he had definitely a much different background than I did. And we were the ones together who kind of thought about this idea with a gin-based canned cocktail. And just kind of organically, he started doing all the photography and started, doing the branding and the marketing. I am used to talking to people. I talk to patients all the time. I started doing the hustling, I guess, or the talking to people and the finance portion of it, and kind of being more the face of the business because I'm just not as shy and I'm more willing to kind of put myself out there. I'm more of an extrovert. He's more of an introvert. So I just think organically, we just kind of figured out where our talents were. And that just kind of evolved into me being the CEO and him being the creative director and chief marketing officer.
All right. So how many other team do you have?
I have an executive sales leader who lives in Frankfurt, and she basically manages all of the tastings that I do throughout the state. So we are now, Rivergreen Cocktails is now throughout the state of Kentucky, and I do credit her with a lot of that. Initially, when I started the business, I was doing a lot of the sampling of our cocktails. It's tough to get a new brand out into the world. It's new. Nobody knows if they're going to like it. They don't know if they want to commit money to it. Some people are like, I don't know if I like gin. I don't know if I like this or that about it. And so our liquid to lips marketing campaign, I feel like, has really taken us to the next level. So Katie, who manages all the tastings, she has about 10 to 12 women underneath her that she manages. And we try to do between 4 to 10 tastings a week throughout the state, just getting people, to try our product, because we find that you try it, you love it, you buy it, you tell a friend, hopefully you'll buy it again.
So tell me a little bit more about kind of what makes Rivergreen Cocktails different and special, and kind of who you're targeting as a consumer.
I've always been asked, like, who's our competition? And, there's a lot of ready to drink cocktails on the market, and there's more and more coming every day. And so there is a lot of competition out there. I do think that we have done a really good job of separating ourselves from the pack by several different things. One being that we're using gin as a spirit. There still is not a lot of gin-based canned cocktails out there, and I'm obviously betting on gin. We are seeing some rise in gin consumption throughout the United States, especially on the East and West Coast. Also, the fact that we're using the real juices and real sweeteners. A lot of people are using what they call natural flavorings, and those are flavorings. They may be from a plant base, but they still are flavorings. And we are using real juice. So I have a bee's knees that's made with real lemon juice, a gimlet with lime juice, and a greyhound with real grapefruit juice. And you really can taste the juices. They're real juices. And then, natural sweeteners. Bee's knees has real honey in it that we get from a local farmer in Kentucky. And the gimlet has some organic cane sugar. These truly are the cocktails that I made in my kitchen. And we've just managed to make them, on a larger scale. And then finally, it's our ABV. Our ABV is 12%. A lot of these cocktails are 4 to 5%. And I think gin lends itself to being a higher ABV because it is more of a classic cocktail spirit. Right. And I always say, I'm like, there's a time and a place for 4 to 5% ABV, and there's a time and a place for a 12%. Sometimes you want a stronger cocktail. And so that's what we've provided. So our whole marketing strategy has been, this is a proper cocktail in a can. It's basically something that should taste like what you'd order up at a bar or restaurant, but we provide it in the convenience of a can.
Okay, awesome. So that leads me to marketing then. So obviously you're doing tastings in liquor stores, and what other marketing are you doing? And other than the in-person, which is obviously the way to get a new beverage out, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic, you've got to get it in people's mouths, right? In their hands.
Absolutely. Liquid to lips.
Yeah. So what else are you doing marketing wise, branding to, create that image?
With our branding, obviously we do a lot on social media. We have definitely, I think you'd asked before who we're targeting. And I would say, probably our target market is between the 30s to 50s. Not to say that I don't have people in their, 60s and higher who may recognize the name of our cocktails because we're using those classic cocktails like a gimlet and a bee's knees. And I will say I have a younger generation who enjoys a stronger cocktail. And so, but I think that our target is between the 30s and 50s. And our branding is very much, we kind of have a mid-century modern type of vibe is what we're going for, and a little bit more of an elevated, sophisticated. We think one, gin lends itself to that with branding. And two, just because it's in a can doesn't mean that it has to be something that isn't, a little upper level or a little more sophisticated. And we've worked hard on that with our can. Our can it's very simple. And that was on purpose to make it look a little more elegant, a little more high end. And so we do a lot of that on social media with Chris does beautiful photography. And so we work very hard on elevating our photos on social media. Additionally, we do a lot of, fundraising stuff. I give free stuff away all the time. We do a lot of the festivals throughout the state. I mean, we've been in, Louisville, Lexington, Paducah, Bowling Green, Frankfurt, doing festivals throughout the year. We've done a couple partnerships, did a partnership with the Lou City Soccer Stadium and with the baseball stadium here in Louisville. And so those partnerships, I think, were also really good for branding. We've done billboards. We do ad campaigns in magazines, just trying to hit it basically from any angle I can. I do podcasts. So, anything that just kind of gets our name out there and for people to go, you know what, I would like to know what that's all about, and, maybe give it a try. Because honestly, our drinks are delicious, and, obviously I'm biased, but if I can just get someone to try them, I usually will have a fan for life.
Yeah. Okay. So going kind of back to the business journey, what are some of the biggest roadblocks or hurdles that you've had to overcome as a business owner?
Gosh, do I have to pick just one? I would say anybody in my space, one of the biggest hurdles is distribution. Mm-hmm. It is every state has different liquor laws. And when you're a small brand, you have to go to each individual state and find a distributor who's willing to pick you up. I have been very fortunate. I'm with Heidelberg, and they are in Kentucky and Ohio. And we have done a good job in Kentucky. We're now throughout the state, and we're getting ready to enter into Ohio with Heidelberg in January. But it is tough getting distributors to pay attention to small brands. It's just a real challenge. It takes a bit of persistence and maybe annoyance to try to get someone to give you a shot. And I get it. They're probably being inundated with, hundreds of other people calling them, but it really is a challenge when you're a small business owner to try to enter into this space.
Okay. So what about the transition from full-time physician to business owner? What was that like? What were some of those challenges other than the obvious time?
Yes. You know what? Honestly, it was a no-brainer. This year has brought considerable growth with our business, and I knew I had to make a decision if I wanted it to grow in the direction that I was seeing it grow, and to continue growing. I knew I needed to commit more time. A lot of my time in starting the business, I always joke that, I kind of made this business in my car on the way to work, on the way home from work, or on the way to dropping my kids off at soccer. And I just really need to have the free time. So I've been having fun with this. It's been a really amazing journey and growth experience for me personally, and a challenge. And I think the timing was just right in my life. And so I wasn't ready to give up medicine completely, financially or emotionally. But I have definitely gotten a very good balance right now in my life. And the time was obviously crucial to be able to have time to sit here with you on a Tuesday and be able to converse with you at 11 o'clock in the morning. I would have never been able to do that before. So I'm enjoying the freedom of a flexible schedule.
Okay. What was a big learning that you had to go through to go from being physician to business owner?
I would say, honestly, the biggest difference for me between medicine and a business owner is the unknown. With medicine, it's just, and I love this about medicine, you go to school and you come out and you have a skill set and there's a specific way that you use it and you're trained a certain way and you get to help people and you make a good living and it's all pretty defined for you. Starting a business is completely undefined. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of ups and downs. The highs are highs, the lows are low. I wasn't prepared for all the uncertainty. I had never really had that type of uncertainty in my life and still don't. I mean, it's a beautiful growth experience, but it's scary at times and a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm getting there.
Good. Looking forward now, where do you see Rivergreen Cocktails in 3 to 5 years?
Well, we actually right now are in the middle of our first fundraising. I've been bootstrapping this business myself. And with the growth potential in Ohio that we are anticipated to have, I have now started my first fundraising, which has been, again, another very uncertain new experience in entrepreneurship. But I'm in the process now of doing that kind of forecasting model and seeing the growth of the business and the trajectory and the goals and where we could be. And so at this point, 3 to 5 years, my hope is to be in several states. I think that it's taken us about 2.5 years to get through the state of Kentucky. I think that, one, we were a new brand. Two, I was a new business owner and I was learning how to do it as well. I'm going to be excited to see what we can do in Ohio and how quickly we can get through that state. And so in the next 3 to 5 years, my hope is to be in 4 or 5 more states.
Okay. Awesome. What do you think will have to change about your business? You're going to have to grow your team to do that? What's your
doing? Yep, absolutely all of it. So because we still self-manufacture, I am in the process of buying a much larger canning line and everything in very large bulk to bring down production costs. And yes, I have brought on a full-time salesperson for Kentucky and another salesperson for Ohio. And I think eventually I will need to bring on several people for Ohio. Ohio is just a more dense state. And so it's in bigger cities. And so I'm going to need to split the state up into different segments and have a team, in basically each big city. And that is the plan. But right now I'm starting with Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, Dayton, Mason area. I just hired someone there and I'm going to try to mimic what we've done here. It's worked in Kentucky. I want to have, the Liquid to Lips campaign going on in Ohio. And so I will need to have a whole team of people basically hitting the stores, putting cups in people's hands and letting them try the product.
Right. Okay. Tell me about your leadership style. Obviously, going from leading a team on the medical side to leading a small business team and now a larger business team. How do you see your leadership style or management style evolving?
I think that I'm getting better at it. It's definitely different. I am trying to find that balance between being a boss and being a friend. And I want to create a culture in our company that is fun. I always say to the girls who are working with me, I'm like, the nice thing about this is that it's cocktails. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a party. It's not life and death like what I've dealt with medicine. It's supposed to be fun. And so, I have always stressed that, let's go have some fun. I want people to be happy in their jobs. I want them to make some money. We all want to make some money. We all want to have the freedom of time, but also enjoy our work. And so I'm trying to create that type of culture. And I see that as I'm going forward. I'd like to be someone who is admired and maybe looked up to, but also is someone who is approachable and creates a business that people can really enjoy and feel like they're a part of a movement. Because for the people who are starting early with me, I'm like, let's do this. I mean, they're kind of on board and we're like, let's build something together and see where we can take this.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now I've got kind of our last few questions here. We covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much. So
Sure.
These are kind of top of your head answers best for these. So first question there is, what has been your key to success?
Determination. I want to see it through to the end. It's not about the money. I have this idea and I want to see how far I can take it. And I'm determined to see it through to the end. And so I think that, kind of you have to have that determination because there's so many ups and downs. And so you have to kind of know where your end goal is and you have to go for it and you have to be determined to get there. And so I would say that's probably what's helped me the most as far as personally.
Okay. What would be one piece of advice that you would give to other business owners who are listening?
I would say two pieces of advice. One would be just do it. I think the hardest part is just pulling the trigger and starting, like anything. I think a lot of people have great ideas. They talk about them, but they get scared to do it. And so you have to just jump in the deep end and give it a try. The second piece of advice that I would say, and I didn't learn this until, probably this year, is network. Get out there and meet other small business owners, meet other entrepreneurs. It is amazing the culture of entrepreneurs, how much they want to help, and how introductions to other people can take your business to the next level. I would say sometimes it's not about the money that you put into the business as much as it's the connections or the people you know. And so I feel like that has been invaluable to some success we've had this year, was me really starting to get busy and start networking.
Okay. What's a book you've read recently or one that you would recommend to other entrepreneurs to read?
Well, I was gonna say, actually funny, I just started yesterday the book Traction.
Okay.
It's a book about getting good traction basically with your business. So that's the book I've started right now. But I listen to a lot of podcasts because I'm in the car a lot. I drive to Lexington twice a week. So I also say with podcasts, I'm listening right now to the VC Minute, which I
Okay.
really enjoy. It's for startup companies to kind of learn about fundraising. I've really enjoyed that. I also too, when I'm feeling a little discouraged or need a little pick me up, I listen to How I Built This with Guy Raz because it's stories about other entrepreneurs. And I enjoy listening to how someone who's very successful, how they struggled too, because sometimes you see the end result of a business and you're
Right.
just like, gosh, I mean, that didn't magically happen. They experienced some major trials and tribulations too. So I find that one to be very helpful when I need a little pick me up and realize everyone goes through it.
Yeah. Okay, those are some great books. And yeah, podcasts, a lot of our business owners are more podcasts that's a little more time friendly and environment
Mhm.
friendly. Sometimes I'm sitting down with a book. I like to do a little bit of both. Yeah, podcasts, there's a lot of material out there that people are publishing for us to be able to learn more and learn from their experiences.
Yes.
So
Yes, absolutely.
that's awesome. Before I get to my last question, so obviously people can follow you on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Where can we find you in the stores in Kentucky in general?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. So we are at the Kroger Wine and Spirit stores, Total Wine, all the Evergreen Liquors and Cox's, Liquor Barn. And actually on our Instagram, we have a map because I hate to leave out all of my local liquor store owners.
Right.
So it's very hard to name them all because we're in about 120 different stores. But we have a lot of local liquor store owners that have been supportive of us. In fact,
Okay.
our very first store that we were ever in was Shrek's on Baxter Avenue.
Yeah.
And I'll always have a little place in my heart for Shrek's for taking a chance on us. They were our first store. And so, yes, on Instagram is our map for all of our stores.
Okay, great.
And I should mention too, which this we haven't even announced this yet, but this is going to be happening very soon. We are going to have the capability to ship to 41 different states, hopefully by the end of the year.
Oh, awesome.
So we're getting all that organized. So yeah, we'll have access to 41 different states from Kentucky to ship to.
Okay, great. That's a big opportunity.
Absolutely.
So great. All right. So, last question I have for you. What inspires you most today?
Who inspires me most? I mean, honestly, my children inspire me the most to keep going. I have 3 boys who I'm raising, but otherwise I would say, and this is where the networking comes, I'm very inspired by other entrepreneurs, people out there who are just busting their butts to build a business, build a brand, who have so much passion and give up so much time and effort to build something that they just believe in so much. And I think that's where I say, like, I'm enjoying at this stage of my business building to be around those types of people because they understand. And it's just such a great way to have a support system. And so I would say they're the ones who probably inspire me the most, my business journey.
Great answer. I love that. And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot with our owners is, being part of a community of owners is a really, really powerful way to understand that you're not alone. And
Absolutely.
you're not the only one who had that problem.
Absolutely. And when I started this, a lot of people would say that being an entrepreneur is really lonely. And I think when I was just so busy with, medicine and the business, and everything, I didn't even recognize the loneliness around it. But it is. And the loneliness, I think, comes to people just really not understanding why you're working so hard or what drives you to do it. And so that's where I think other entrepreneurs who have that itch they have that itch that needs to be scratched, and they just have this passion to build something. It's nice to be around people like that because they got it.
Right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. So this has been Danielle Mann, CEO, co-founder, Rivergreen Cocktails. Danielle, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. It has been awesome learning about your journey and hearing about the exciting things that are coming, just short-term and long-term for you. And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.